All right, welcome everyone. As we promised, we will start promptly at 1. I would be remiss if I didn't say, I think I'm competing with some bandwidth today in a very important historic day for our country in the inauguration. I did get a lot of please record and send to us, and today's episode of What's Up Wednesday Live will be recorded. So if you or your staff or anyone you know is missing today and would like a recording of this, please have them contact us. We will also be posting that on our NutriSmart website for those who would like to review it at a later date. Again, I think, today I feel honored to be able to sit in front of you, as always, as a partner in your business, which is the business of school nutrition. And I think today, an overriding sense as a country, and certainly in every cafeteria, we are now seeing an opportunity to rebuild, renew, and recharge. And we are here to help you along that path. And certainly we all hope for a turn of events here in 2021 that are going to have us feeling positive about our programs and what we have to offer our students. I would be remiss to say, as I go too fast, PASANIC is a team of dedicated professionals that I would be nothing without. This team of smiling professionals has continued to work really hard over the winter break with stewardship towards honoring all of the feedback we've gotten from our schools on how we can best help you take control of your program and really renew your focus as we enter into 2021 and the opportunities that are here. We are just, willing and able partners to help you succeed at that. And I would be remiss if I didn't give everybody credit for all of the spots they play in that. Today, we're going to cover, our 3 themes. A girl loves a good alliteration with PASANIC partners. So we are going to rebuild, renew, and recharge with some of the information shared today. Everything, again, is going to be gone through pretty briefly, and any of the information with regards to the specific contents in those areas that you find yourself interested in, we would be certainly happy to have some one-on-one meetings with you as you think through the vision of what you see, not only to conclude the semester strong, but prepare as we enter into a new season of summer feeding, and dare I even say, thinking about menus for school year 2021-22. Certainly with that being said, the idea here is we're going to always have the focus on safety and health so that we can help ensure that the steps you take today will ensure that your schools can remain in a forward progress with regard to having brick and mortar students, along with those that are continuing remote, how to continue to ensure the safety of not only the students served, but of course, most importantly, the essential staff you all lead to make that happen every day. With that being said, we do have our caught doing something good, and I see her on the line. Happy belated birthday to Diana Hill. We'll talk to you a little bit about some of the recent news press that captured her successful efforts at Fairview Park City Schools. And certainly we just applaud her and many of the other Recipe Advisory Council. I see Jen Rex on this call, Dawn Johnson. Thank you, Dawn, for joining us. And Jen, these folks not only lead and charge feeding in their school nutrition programs, but they sit on a special Recipe Advisory Council for PASANIC partners to help us continue to move the needle and innovate on a way that not only has our thoughts and energy around it, but really realistic operational goals for moving recipes forward that work within the schools you serve. And last but not least, I am super happy at the end of our presentation day before we open for question and answers, we have a special guest today. So for those of you who missed December, our special guest was a chef preparing some Land O'Lakes style recipes with commodity foods for you. Our goal is really to keep a presence of somebody that we think or some topic that we think is important to you other than what PASANIC has to bring. And I'm happy to announce that Lunch Assist will be joining our call today, and you'll hear from Mackenzie later on today. With that being said, I think one of the things, and this link again will be shared for those of you, maybe Lauren, you could post it in the chat. As we're talking about the chat feature, please feel free to put your questions in the chat. We will try to answer those as they come in either via the chat response or at the end of today's session. But I always want to start off with, there is some good stuff out there about what we're doing. And I think one of the ways we've always inspired how important you are as a person within the school process. We are looking at news media that is really amplifying the effect that proper nutrition in the provision of not only the 5-day a week remote feeding, but 7-day a week and feeding into the weekend as it's related to academic outcomes for students. And so we all know this, students can't learn when they're hangry. And you know what, you could be hangry sitting at your home in front of a computer or in a brick and mortar classroom in a cafeteria space. So we applaud all of you who have taken on the extra work, and we know it's extra, to not only feed the kids coming back into your buildings in either hybrid form, but continuing to feed those students that are undoubtedly still questing to gain education remotely throughout this next semester. So anything we can do to provide you interesting information. This is one, if I were you, I'd be sending to your superintendent and your principal saying, look how important nutrition is. Our students shown having access to weekend meals are showing higher academic achievement. And boy, would that ever get some positive feedback for what you all do day in and day out to make sure all of the families in our communities are able to benefit from our nutrition programs. With that being said, I love that we have a well-rounded panel. And again, today's presentation, we'll go through the slides, but certainly want to give props to our resident experts. We are going to pass the important updates as it relates to kind of checking some of our checklists and box for the things we know we have to do for compliance over to Sarah Carlson. So Sarah, take it away.
Great. Good afternoon, everyone. So important dates that are coming up. February is just around the corner. So February 1st, remember to do your on-site monitoring forms for both breakfast and lunch if you have more than one site in your school district, and keep those on file. Then your information for the PEBT cards, that's for this semester because that has been officially extended through the remainder of the 2021 school year. That information will be collected from the state on February 2nd. So make sure that you run your direct certs and have that information up to date. And then unfortunately, we did not get the waiver for verification in the state of Ohio. So that does need to be completed as always by February 28th. And then just some mid-year checklist, update your KERS app if necessary. So if you have kiddos coming back to the building and you were doing serve and now you're going to try to do offer versus serve, or if you had kids in the building and were serving and you're like, hey, I think we've got this, we can go back to offer versus serve. Please update your application accordingly so ODE knows what you are doing. Make sure if you are planning to do any snacks that you are completing that non-program food revenue tool. That does include if you are selling additional milks or meals to adults. So you will still need to do that as well. Again, all things in the name of compliance. We're getting kind of back on that track in the second semester of the school year. Make sure that your adult meal price is correct. Again, a lot of schools started not selling to adults when we went to school first semester in 2020. If you do plan to sell to adults, make sure that that price is accurate with the current tool that is available on the ODE website. Your wellness policy, that is another thing to make sure that you have up to date and that we're kind of check marking that off. I know it's a little difficult to do a lot of the activities and meetings and such due to social distancing and trying to be conscientious of not spreading the virus and bringing too many bubbles together, but make sure that you try to do as much as you can with that just to keep up to date on that as well. And your staff still does need to complete their training hours for the year. There was no waiver for that. So just make sure that you do have planned hours if you have professional development days coming up. I know usually in February, school districts have one. So make sure you're making plans to get your staff trained. I will pass it to Tina.
We're going to be talking about rebuilding your budget. As we've all heard many times, know your numbers. I mean, I know I've heard this from the time I started working in schools, from the profit loss statements to our commodities. All of our numbers make a big difference when we're looking at our budget. Unfortunately, this year is everything we've been doing. We've learned through the past, we've executed in the past, all of this is gone. It's null and void. We can't even go back and look at last year's numbers to this year's numbers to compare. Our usual way of thinking has been shifted, and knowing our numbers is even greater importance this year. This is kind of a guideline of where your numbers should be falling, what your category should be falling under each percentage to see where you fall and use them as guidelines. On the next slide, we go to just some of the certain things that we have 3 different guidelines here that we're looking at. Your labor costs, which is your benefits, wages and benefits, your food, your other supplies that you purchase. Labor cost alone is just an example of how things have changed from in the past. Our labor costs this year, we've always, 46% of your budget goes on your labor cost. And this year alone, we're looking at how many different things have affected our budgets. So we've gone down in participation. A lot of the districts are lower in participation. We've gone to remote feeding, which has dropped our participation. We don't need as many people on hand to be feeding. So your labor cost, as you're looking through this now, do I need these people? Do we need all the staff on board? So we're paying people to some possibly not do the work that they have. In March, when we look back at March, we were paying people to sit at home. All these are going to be affecting your numbers when it comes to your labor cost. What it's made our directors come out and think outside of the box. How do we utilize these staff members to get without losing any jobs? I mean, that's our main goal. We don't want anybody to lose their job. So how are we going to utilize these people with the lower wages or the lower participation and still not lose the money that we're looking for? And the next one is a couple different other areas that we're looking into. Our purchase services, indirect cost, fund balances. Purchase services was one of the things that I know I've looked through in one of the districts that I was looking at. If it came down to, our budget wasn't falling in, am I going to eliminate a purchase service? Or am I going to lose staff members? Well, when it's all said and done, we're going to keep our staff members and unfortunately might have to affect our purchase service. One of the treasurers that I work with, who is a wonderful man, decided to kind of put our numbers into place. So on the next slide, you'll see this is kind of what that guideline that we show at the beginning, where everything falls, our labor costs, our food. So labor costs should run about 46%, our food costs 37%, other supplies 5%, purchase 4%, others 4% in cash balances. Well, my treasurer put our numbers in here, and as a food service director, my first goal is to look at those no's. I look at them no's, and if anybody knows me, I do not like no's. So my first job is to figure out, why do I have a no in these things? So some of the things that, as I went through this and I looked at, why would my food service be up? Now, one of the reasons that could cause your food service to be up would possibly be you're not utilizing your commodities to the best of their ability. You could possibly be using the prepared foods, prepackaged foods. And again, last year I could say, okay, possibly, at the end of the school year, we may have done a little bit more of the prepackaged foods when we were thrown into COVID. So, okay, I'll get that. We're not using a cycle menu. Well, when I looked at my numbers, I realized I do utilize my commodities to the best that they could be. We were working on a cycle menu. And again, we had enough staff that we were able to not do all prepared foods. So my girls were also cooking. So why is my numbers higher? Well, then I look at my other supplies, and if anything, that should be higher. Or other supplies that we were doing, especially with COVID, we were purchasing more packages, more ways to get this food out. So to me, something was off there. So as I did my investigation, put my sleuth hat on and went looking, I found that my administrative assistant was not taking out my disposables off my GFS bill. So that was going into my food cost. So, okay, I figured that out, was able to figure out where some of that was. And I know this year we're going to hopefully be in the yes column as you go through. But this is just kind of certain things that are going to help you to figure out where you're at. Another thing that we talked about with knowing our numbers is our commodities. You look at our commodities this year, and I had to laugh as I went on my PAL report and I look at my thermometer, it switched. Last year, the single bank was always up. The single bank has always been to the left and the DOD to the right. And this year, and I'm figuring it's probably happening across the districts, your DOD money is going higher. We're in January, we should be at 50% across the board. We're halfway through the school year, and for some reason, these thermometers are not rising the way they should be. Now, some of us, our DOD is off the roof, which I was very excited to see that our DOD is higher than our single bank, because that means more fresh fruits and vegetables are going out there. And it is a number that you do need to watch out for. So just as you're going through, just kind of put your numbers in and see where you fall. And I'd like to see if everybody's numbers are where they need to be, where you need to work on. So I'll pass it off to Maureen.
Thank you, Christina. So as always, one of the things we love about Tina, we call her our operational experts in terms of really knowing her numbers. And so I think a lot of what she just shared with you is not to scare you. I think we all know we have had our financial hits this year, and it's really not about being defensive. It's just being armed with the proper information. And I really liked the idea of starting with some sort of a report card and also a self-assessment. And so when the particular district approached Tina and she took that upon herself to kind of do a mini assessment, we thought it would be a great example of a case study for you guys to see and see if it's something that we could help you formulate in terms of understanding the impacts and moving forward with information and being armed with that information as you make strategic decisions. One of the things that I want to highlight, because I've always in my previous life as a full-time food service director, you all know, I had resided in districts that heavily relied upon a la carte spending. And so one of the things that we are looking to do is to, as we get our students back in brick and mortar, is we are really super excited about taking the best of the COVID silver lining transitions we've seen from fast casual and certainly coffee houses. We all know our students in those districts walking in with their Starbucks cups, to name a few, Dunkin', whatever. They have been pre-ordering on apps. And they're seeing their sales up and their touch points down. So what we are hoping to do is pilot in several of our suburban school districts that are beginning to have students back in the brick and mortar, a Google pre-order form that really mimics the process of what that same experience would be if you went ahead on your Starbucks app, pre-ordered your coffee, paid for it, and were able to come down and select that from a cart that's kind of reserved in an area safely, sanitized with all of the definitely necessary precautions with COVID, but to be able to begin some sort of systematic way of increasing a la carte sales for those schools, again, that heavily really rely upon this. And so certainly all the things that Sarah said about making sure you have your non-program food funds in place, making sure that you have updated all your information. Certainly the staffing piece of that is an issue. I know most people are probably shaking their head going, we can't even figure out all the other stuff we have to do. I get it. We're not trying to add more to your plate. We're just trying to add ideas for revenue boosting ideas. And there are ways to be able to do it where you, again, are utilizing your point of sale, pre-order forms with Google to be able to be safe and handle that. So if you're interested, let us know. We'll help you. Just as a reintroduction to that, if you amend your application or you are able to do offer versus serve. We've seen a number of schools really call this Pick 3 and it's free campaign, perhaps a lunchbox buddy. I live this, and I know if Kim Sabork's on this call, she will laugh. I will say it and she'll say, Maureen, I've heard this since you started in Hudson in 2007. At that time, I was a mom of a second grader, and now I am again, and I'm signing up for Brecksville meals for Addison, and she's back in school. So one of the things that, at least as a parent, my experience is Cindy's doing a great job in Brecksville of offering a main, an alternate, and then a lunchbox helper. So if there's neither of the items or something that Addison would look at, she can still get a fresh fruit, a fresh vegetable, perhaps a yogurt, something that again might be a little more sensitive for me to put in a lunchbox and feel it could be safe and kept at a right temperature, and certainly allow her to still not only enjoy fresh produce and have some extra help as a mom packing a lunch, but also help the school district. I'm a little biased. I actually get why it's very, very important for Addison to continue to be a patron for the program on a lot of levels. So partly, this is just a way that we have been campaigning for schools with schools to help market the resources they have available. Also, have seen some schools using the Google form to be able to get some pre-counts on that and help their production staff, manage all of that. Here are just some examples, some of the bundles that we've seen schools put together. The three that aren't on here that I think are super, well, one is the yogurt parfait. The two other ones that I think have been super successful at the secondary level have been a nacho kit or a pretzel kit. And those are using whole grain nachos or pretzels along with commodity cheese cups and salsa cups and fruit to be a combination that seems to be taking off in some of our secondary schools with students being able to leverage that as a pick 3 and it's free. Always remember your integrity plan is important there. I think the biggest worry for any of this is avoiding duplicate lunches. So, we always have that worry. If you're just using a clicker, how do you recognize a student that has already received a meal, perhaps through the service line, that would perhaps come back out and get this bundle? And then also noting if somebody does get a full lunch, that these items could still be for sale. So having clear signage, clear communication, and then part of your integrity plan showing how you're avoiding duplicate claiming. Again, all doable, but just kind of checking the boxes as you implement some of these strategies. For safety and health, I'm going to let it back to the expert. Sarah Carlson is our ServSafe certified dietitian. She's going to take you through a couple of slides, just kind of on a refresher. I think all of us are doing such a great job. I was able to watch service at Talmadge City Schools yesterday, and I know I see Karen on. Just awesome to be able to be in her environment and at Talmadge Schools, doing a really great job of keeping brick and mortar staff and students safe and being able to feed them. So here are your friendly updates from Sarah.
All right, so just a couple of updates as we are now in the new year. So again, if you have kids, so first we're going to look at the kids, what we should be doing when they're in the cafeteria space with us, making sure that we're keeping them 3 to 6 feet apart at all times. Again, just for safety and tracking and tracing, we need to make sure that they are being socially distanced. To ensure that your food is covered if it's being eaten outside of the cafeteria, please check with your local health department on the regulations. I know I work in 3 different counties, and every county health department I call is interpreting this a bit differently. So if you have any questions or concerns, please reach out to your local health department. Making sure that we are regularly sanitizing those high traffic touch points between each service line. So the actual serving line where they're sliding the trays down itself. If you are using any type of point of sale and the kids are having to enter in a PIN number with a PIN pad, or if you're doing biometric scanning, that you are regularly sanitizing that in between lines. And then just ensuring that students are sanitizing their hands before entering the serving line. I know, especially if you're hybrid, the serving line is a bit slower and you don't have as many kids coming through. So if somebody is able to, in your staff, if you have too many staff hours and a lot of people standing around, if you can assign somebody that job to stand outside of that cafeteria space and make sure everybody's hands are sanitized before they come in. Again, another really important thing to just keep everything safe for the kids. And then when we look at HACCP, all in protocols for your staff, again, making sure that we're keeping our staff 6 feet apart when we can. I know sometimes the kitchens are really small, and depending on how many staff members you need in that tight space, 6 feet can get pretty difficult. But again, for tracking and tracing and quarantining, the last that we spoke with the health department and local school nurses, the 15-minute rule. So if you've been in less than 6 feet radius of somebody who tests positive for 15 minutes, you have to be quarantined for 10 days. That's 15 accumulative minutes. So it's not a stretch of 15 minutes. So if the ladies are standing together for 5 minutes, break apart, come back for 5 minutes, break apart, come back together again for 5 minutes, they've been together a cumulative 15 minutes during that shift. So anybody that has done that would need to be quarantined for 10 days. So just something to keep in mind, because if your ladies all like to huddle together, especially during break times, that can be detrimental for your kitchen, because just one lady testing positive could wipe out your entire kitchen. And I don't know about all of you, but most of my districts, we have maybe 1, if any, subs this year. So wiping out an entire staff would be pretty difficult to find somebody to feed the kids. And just ensuring proper mask usage. I know we're 10 months into this and everybody's getting really sick of wearing those. And I've seen a little lax on them not being completely over the nose and those sorts of things. So again, just making sure that those are being worn properly, because again, they only keep us all safe and work if we're wearing them correctly. Again, trying to remind the ladies, I know they like to sit and I love that they're all friends and want to have a little break or lunch together, but they do need to stay away from each other, especially if they're going to sit to eat and take masks off. Again, we just have to be careful, because one staff member getting sick, if they sat for a 15-minute break and ate together, that wipes out your entire staff. So again, just something to be mindful of. And then again, just the frequent hand washing and glove changing. I think I talk about this on every Wednesday Live. I feel like this is kind of like my gigantic soapbox that I get on. Again, this is one of the biggest ways that we can spread germs is through improper hand washing and not changing our gloves. So again, gloves are not magic, and I try to remind the ladies of that. So just something to keep in mind as we move into this next semester of school. So now I will pass it to Lauren.
All right. Hey, everybody. So I'm going to be talking about ways that we can renew our menu. So I'm pretty sure that just about everybody on this call has had to pivot their menu in some way this year, whether that's adapting for curbside service or whether that's adapting for classroom feeding or very quick cafeteria feeding. Bottom line is we know our menus obviously look very different than in previous years. So we're going to kind of talk about some ways to revitalize and renew our menu so we're still serving those items that we know the kids love, but doing so in a safe way. So I'm sure you've probably heard one of the Pasonic partners talk about MTO, or made to order, in the past. We kind of coined this term from Sheetz, the gas station of all places, but that allows really customizable food options. There's like 1,000 different combinations of things you can get when you go into Sheetz. So we want to kind of apply that MTO to our cafeteria. And now that we're doing a lot of curbside service, it's now MT Go. So we'll kind of talk through how this factors into behavioral economics, which is really, to put it very simply, what goes into our choices when it comes to buying and consuming food. So this just kind of shows there's a lot of different things that go into this, right? So namely, number one is price. Is it affordable? Is it a fair price for what you're getting? Certainly the appearance. I know I eat with my eyes. Obviously, all of our kids from kindergarten through 12th grade do just the same. And chances are they're going to tell you if they don't like the way that something looks too. Certainly the convenience, and then the information about that food, especially as it pertains to allergies, and then some other information regarding nutritionals. State of mind. I think for this one, I think of like the high schooler who will 100%, 9 times out of 10, choose to sleep for 5 or 10 minutes more in the morning than like wake up early and go get breakfast. So like that obviously factors into our food purchasing patterns, certainly habit, and then our expectations as well. So just in working with all of these different school districts, we know that the expectations in our more affluent districts are obviously going to be very different than those in more of our urban districts. So what we really wanted to focus on was kind of refreshing. There's obviously a theme here with this What's Up Wednesday. Refreshing some of these old familiar concepts. One of our most popular, menu items is these different bar concepts. I think a lot of our schools like to utilize these or have utilized our bar concepts in the past. And the reason why we know that they're so successful with our students is because it affords them that choice in their meal. They get to pick and choose exactly what they want. We call it that Chipotleization effect, where you can, choose your rice, choose your grain, choose your meat, choose all the different veggies and toppings that you want. And we find that those are very successful high participation days across the board. So obviously, if we're looking at this in terms of curbside, it's not going to be very feasible or very cost effective to send home all of the options that you would have if you were serving that bar concept on site. So what we wanted to do as a team was just kind of think through some of our popular bar concepts and how we can still emulate that for a curbside or to-go style service. So I wanted to highlight 2 of these for the presentation. The first one's a breakfast option, and it's our yogurt parfait bar. So we used to do this at Garfield High School all the time. The kids loved it. Parfaits are one of our biggest sellers at the school. And obviously in days of past, it was self-serve, right? The kids would come up, they would make their own parfait. They can pick and choose a different fruit, get some granola and other toppings, and it was great. Again, we're not gonna be able to send all of that home. So now we're sending home different pieces, parts, probably not going to have a ton of variety of fruit, and everything is going to be individually wrapped. So it's still possible. There's still some customization that's available. It just looks a little bit different. So with these resources, we also wanted to include our packaging tips as well. Mainly because we've been able to kind of vet different packaging options, but then also ones that are going to be cost effective for how you're sending it home too. This one, the burrito bar, again, probably one of our most popular bars. When you see this on site, you have their choice of nachos, or you can do a burrito bowl, you can do a burrito, you can do tacos. Again, possibilities are endless. we were not going to be able to send all of those things home. So typically now we're doing either a bag of chips, or we're having our staff pre-portion and put the chips into bags. We're cupping out the taco meat. And then obviously we're kind of being a little more selective about the toppings that we're sending home, because even when we're sending home up to 4 different toppings, that's 4 different containers you have to package it in. So like the plate cost and the packaging cost can rise pretty quickly. So it's definitely something to be mindful of. So I wanted to show, we have been doing this in Garfield from the beginning of this school year, I should say. So, and again, we're not able to do a burrito, taco, nachos every single week, but we've been able to rotate these different items through our menus just to keep the kids even somewhat engaged. So I think we started the year with nachos, we moved on to burrito bowls, and now we're doing little tacos. So we'll put the tortilla shell on the side in a bag, and then we've got all of these different toppings cupped up and ready to go. This picture was taken like after the fact. They had this entire prep table just covered with all of these different things that they were prepping out. And it really is a cool sight to see. It's kind of like that bar concept to go. All right, so again, I'm sure you've heard this one plenty of times too. The kids are our customers, right? We can sit here and write these beautifully crafted menus, and then once we actually get them to the kids and they vet them, they might tear it apart. So we always want to make sure that we are keeping our kids engaged from the kindergartners to the 12th graders and serving them food that they actually want to eat. I've put out some surveys in our district a couple of times, and you get very genuine, honest, and funny answers from these kids when they tell you exactly what they want to be eating. Obviously, we know we can't always appease them exactly as they would want. Certainly, there are other things that we have to consider when we are serving curbside service, or we're sending home 5 to 7 days worth of food at once. So we definitely want to encourage you guys to go ahead and survey your kids, ask them what their favorite meals are, what they don't like, what they want to see brought back to the menu. Really important question is, what's maintaining its quality, right? If you are sending home 7 days worth of food, on day 7, is that food still tasting okay? Or are your strawberries getting mushy? Is your wrap soggy? Is the frozen food getting freezer burned? Like, did that actually provide the food as it was intended to be eaten? So definitely want to, get that feedback from your kids. It's going to be really important as you guys craft your menus moving forward. All right, so if you know the Pisonic partners, we are always thinking of the next step and trying to find some innovative recipes to get these kids to try. So this is quite literally just a snapshot of some recipes we've been working on. I'm sure Maureen will kind of touch upon what our big winter project was a little bit later, but basically over our winter break, we were all hard at work in our kitchens, basically just trying out for the Food Network and honing our skills on camera. So we really are trying to work to develop this video series so that you guys can have these recipes at your fingertips, literally seeing somebody making it step by step, but condensed down to like under 2-minute videos. So these are just some of the fun recipes that we were able to try. There's a pork bowl, there's a cilantro lime hummus, Mexican pasta salad, a beet and mandarin salad, double fudge brownie, which is probably my personal favorite, and then a butternut squash recipe. So we're really trying to cover the gambit and provide something for everybody. A couple other things. We're not the only ones thinking of some recipes. The USDA does have an option. You can log on to this website. Again, we could probably share this one in the chat. It's really cool, and it kind of ties in with the Harvest of the Month idea that we're always promoting for fresh local produce. So you can literally just click on whatever produce item you find. There's a page full of them, and it lists out a ton of different recipes for that item, which I think is really user-friendly. There's a ton of different things out there. And lastly, I love this one. Anybody who knows me knows that I am a donut person. So when I saw this come into our inbox, I was like, heck yes, we are going to be doing this. It's going to be awesome. So even a lot of like the donut companies, like I don't know if Dunkin's done this, but I know like Duck Donuts and some other even local mom and pop donut places have created these little MTO, made to order, made to go donut kits for families. So they'll give you all the toppings, they'll give you the donuts, and then I'm sure that parents are probably getting restless trying to keep their kids occupied after being home for 10 months. So this is just one other family activity you can do. Certainly different schools could adapt this to do 1 donut for 1 kid or a couple donuts for the family, however they want it to look. But definitely contact your GFS reps if you are local to Ohio. They can connect you with what these item codes are and make sure there's plenty of stuff in stock for Valentine's Day.
All right. So I don't even feel like I need to recharge my staff. They recharge me. But I think this whole group, small but mighty, that we get to follow us on What's Up Wednesday Live involves, all of you who are really looking to this year and seeing what we can do in partnership. Industry folk join us for these meetings. Thank you, Gordon Food Service and the others who are on that support us, because we can't give good service unless we get it. And I know historically we've leaned on brokers and manufacturers to help us inspire our staff and recharge our staff. So we miss you guys. We totally miss you guys. And part of the idea of what I had my staff do with these videos is that personal touch. I think a lot of you in the past who have attended our in-person culinary immersion trainings know that it's not just about receiving a recipe and handing it to your head cooks or your staff and saying, do it. They have to buy in, right? And part of that is tasting the food that you're asking them to make, and in some ways having hands-on creation of it. And in their mind, they're thinking, how can we scale this? Would it be possible? How long would it take us? And certainly at the end result, I've always been inspired and encouraged all that they would pridefully eat in any cafeteria they serve in, right? So the idea of our idea for training is, how do we do it now, given some of the limitations? We really are starting a pilot. So we do have a couple of our Recipe Advisory Council members that we've elected to kind of pick on to create an opportunity we're calling Food for Thought. And as you think about ways to reinvent your menu, renew, recharge your staff around thinking about creating speed scratch recipes, we know we're going to have to help you get some buy-in. And so what we attempted to do at the first back to school boot camp with the Pasonic Pick Box was do a curated box of items in partnership with our industry and manufacturer broker relationships and community to be able to get you resources in hand, to be able to touch, feel, in some instances taste, and really leverage an educated decision as a consumer before you would elect to buy in a case or whatever volume of the product to serve your students. In that same thought, we are hoping to pilot a new type of culinary education we're calling Food for Thought, that would be a curated box of mise en place recipes. So mise en place, all the ingredients measured out in their little areas, kind of like a Blue Apron meets school food nutrition, so that box would be able to be used as a hands-on resource toolkit within your cafeteria space. Most always the challenge we have is, we just talked about keeping your staff safe, and certainly in past culinary immersion trainings, food is our love language. We're all around the kitchen together, we're laughing, we're talking, and we're all around one prep area. Well, we realize that's not going to be doable right now. But what would be doable is if we segregated staff in their own respective cooking prep areas and curated this box for them, and then allowed them the digital resources, either via a live chat with a Pasonic partner leading that culinary training, certainly enhanced by video accompaniment for those steps. And we've also curated some interesting, I'm a big picture fan, so step-by-step pictures, so that if you're a good old print it off and put it in a recipe binder and have it in front of you when you decide to make it, we really kind of are thinking through all of the ways we can best support continued culinary vision and support your education needs. So we're really looking forward to this, and stay tuned on future What's Up Wednesday emails and calls to kind of learn how the process is going. As I charge a couple of our friends from the Recipe Advisory Council to join us in the first round of the pilot. If you're on this call and you're really eager to try it, give us a call. You can email me directly or call our offices. We'd love to have multiple different sites and get some feedback on this as a potential way we can support continued education, but in a continued fun culinary immersion way. Our vision really for professional development is to meet everybody where they're at. I think some of us are continuing down just feeling really overwhelmed and lacking the time. But I think we all know, I think as we turn the calendar over for a new year, we all resolve to see better for ourselves and for our staffs. And so our goal really is to maximize your existing program through some of these new ideas, the bar in the box concepts, perhaps creating some innovation, bringing back, behavioral economics for all of you old schoolers like me is smarter lunchroom theory. And that goes way back into how the cafeteria becomes a real extension of the classroom. Again, dietitian, mom, person that was a food service director, that is like just bubbles up when I'm able to see kids back in the school, and ultimately teaching them autonomous choosing and portion control is going to be lifelong skills that they will use well beyond, you know, all the geometry and other things that they have to learn as well. So certainly our vision is continuing to inspire whatever it takes to get your department wholesome meals that fuel those healthy lives for the kiddos. And customized focus, you know, we have 3 areas. We want you to understand the why and your staff to understand the why. So the why behind, you know, why are we doing this? We talk about having a wellness tribe in your district. I think we feel like our tribes are a little splintered and crazed with other responsibilities in a district, but being able to understand the why nutritionally and involve your wellness tribe within your school district, be it administrators, health PE teachers, those partners in the past that have really embraced what you want to do in terms of innovation and connecting the nutrition with the education. We would be remiss if we didn't think the second focus of PD and how we're going to structure our PDs for you would be around not only the why of nutritional and wellness, but the why financially and KPI. So key performance indicators, as you saw earlier in this presentation, will continue to drive not a gray, but a more black and white direction as to the economics of some of the ideas we have around making these programs come to life. And last but not least, you know, we are the recipe, you know, the recipe queens, if you will, in terms of just really all of our staff did an awesome job over the winter break. And jokingly, it was, you know, we laughed at, you know, Marge isn't able to join us today, but she did a really like a talking head video, and we had all these different things, really just a testament to how our staff is really eager to continue to create recipes that inspire you, to walk alongside of you as you train your staff to implement those, to mask up and make tri-days happen in whatever capacity we can. We know all of those features of new recipe innovation and development need to take place in different ways, but we have confidence they can still take place in impactful ways and moving that needle forward for you and your programs. I know I am. So today I'm sharing this link. Somebody please put it in the chat because you're going to want to sign up for this. For those of you who are partners with us in Healthy Meal Planner Pro, the software company has elected to create a Zen pack. So if any of you are like me and have been like extra, like I have eucalyptus hanging in my shower right now, thanks to Jen Kunze, who's on this call as well, for giving me that, you know, refreshing morning shower this morning. But this Zen pack is essential oils, self-wellness. Anyone who's interested in signing up, they're going to send these free kits to you. I think in recognition that, you know, we're all at that sense of fatigue, not only from the work we're doing in the schools, but just looking at screens and talking to each other in this weird virtual life we have been in this past year. So I'm all about the self-care, and this is some free resources from Healthy Pro that I think, you know, it would be worth signing up for. I want to shout out, as we always do, our Caught Doing Something Good live moment. And here is our birthday girl. Happy belated birthday to my dear friend, Diana Hill. I think this is a scene that many of you are either going, yep, that's what we've been doing, or, oh my goodness. But from the immensity of it, I think it's wonderful to see a news outlet like Westlife newspaper celebrate the impact that all of Diana's hard work in her district in Fairview Park is really, you know, continuing to feed those students in that community, and the above and the beyond resources, not only just the basics. You know, I like to think many of our all-stars like Diana Hill aren't just checking the box to meet expectations. They strive to exceed expectations. And it's always nice to see that community support in media. So if you haven't read it, check out the Westlife newspaper article on Diana Hill and her team for all of the wonderful work they're doing for the Fairview Park community. And with that, I am going to pass it over to a dear friend. You know, I keep saying COVID silver linings have been what has kept me going this year. And I think if I had to list one of my favorites, it's been a unique and special growing friendship and collaboration with Team Lunch Assist. And today with us, we have Mackenzie Lopez, who I have been really excited to be able to network with, and she has some great information that I felt was really beneficial to share. So Mackenzie?
Thanks, Maureen, and thanks Botanic Partners for inviting me to join your call today. I'm Mackenzie, as Maureen said, and I am the administrative dietitian for Lunch Assist. For those of you guys who don't know us, we work to support schools across the country with an aim to simplify school nutrition so you can focus on what matters most. Last year, we were very excited to launch Lunch Assist Pro, which is the membership for school nutrition professionals. As a member, you'll gain access to our very fun and informative professional development and training videos designed for operations during COVID-19 and available in both English and Spanish, as well as exclusive access to The Collective, our comprehensive resource center and the new go-to place for all things school nutrition. And today I'm just going to share with you a couple of resources that are available on our website and via the Pro membership that we're going to send to you guys as well. So on our website, we do offer tons of free resources. We feel that with COVID, this is not the time to be focusing on sales or profit or anything. So anything we have that's COVID related is open and available to everyone for free. So if you haven't visited it yet, you can visit our website, and I'll just put it in the chat box here. It's www.lunchassist.org. And on there is a tab for COVID resources, as well as another tab for civil rights. And our civil rights tab includes professional development training that will cover your civil rights requirements for the school year. We have the videos in both English and Spanish. All of our videos have been translated and are presented by a native Spanish speaker. We also have all of our slide decks, notes, quizzes, etc., available in both English and Spanish. That's printable if your staff prefers, or you can direct them to our website here. And the civil rights training lesson is free for anyone. So if you haven't done the civil rights training, go ahead and check that out. And then last thing on this slide is a sample program integrity plan. We just released this today. We had a version that we created earlier in the year that many people know as our parent pickup policy, but this program integrity plan that we just launched or published is an all-encompassing comprehensive integrity plan to keep on file for COVID-19 meal service specifically. So it talks about everything from duplicate meals, parent pickups, etc. And we have that available in a Word format. So we'll put the link in the chat box for you. You can just go ahead and download it. You can edit it however you'd like to fit your district. You can use it as inspiration to create your own integrity plan. But I know in California, this is definitely a requirement of every school and will be reviewed during upcoming audits. And I think it is probably also a national, if not a requirement, definitely a best practice. On the next slide, these are two resources that I also want to share with you guys. The first is our winter 2021 checklist. So for Lunch Assist Pro members, we put out a checklist every quarter to keep you on track of all the many things that need to be done throughout the year. And we updated all of our resources this year to be COVID specific. So this checklist is available to you guys. I'm going to post all of these in the chat box in just a moment here. But this winter checklist will include everything from program operations to financial things and procurement and wellness policy, a few of the things that Botanic Partners have touched on this call already, which is great. So just something to keep you on track during the winter. And then I added this because I know that Ohio is working on their verification right now.
We thought we were off the hook. We thought we were off the hook.
I know. It'd be so much easier if that were the case across. California also has to do the verification, but we were at least notified back a couple of months ago. So even though we were equally disappointed, it wasn't as last minute as you guys, unfortunately. But I did go ahead, and this is a resource that's normally just for our pro members, but as a thank you for joining this call and for having Lunch Assist as a guest speaker, we are sending it to you guys all as well. And it's basically just a checklist to make sure that you have completed verification correctly. So we'll be sure to put those in the chat box. And the last thing that I wanted to talk about briefly was something very, very exciting. Lunch Assist and Pacific Partners is going to be collaborating on a project. It's the Winter Project that was mentioned earlier. And we will officially launch this mid next month, but you can look forward to some featured recipes. The team does such a great job with their videos and their recipes, and they just have such an amazing knowledge base around meal planning and meal service. So we've partnered with them to develop a tool and kind of an online platform for you guys to best utilize all of the amazing resources that Pacific Partners provides. And so, yeah, we'll have more information about that soon, but we are super excited about it, and you guys will be some of the first to see it and to use it. So we'll, just a heads up, we will welcome any feedback that you guys have when it does become available. And lastly, I'm putting my contact information on the slide in case anyone has any questions about any of the resources or are interested in Lunch Assist Pro. Feel free to contact me. We work closely with Maureen and Pacific Partners, and so we collaborate often, and just want to support you guys in any way that we can. So that's all from me, so thank you.
Yay. So, again, thank you, Mackenzie, for joining us. And I would be remiss if I didn't always look as the glass being half full for our team. This year has presented a lot of challenges. And one of the things that I think it has done is brought out the best in folks that really care about what you do in child nutrition. And I can't find better sisters over there in California than Jen McNeil, who is home with baby Lola, who I got to see via video yesterday. She is gorgeous. And Mackenzie being her right arm as caring for the ongoing operations for over 50 school districts in California. So, Pacific doesn't stop at, a funnel vision of only our clients, our state. We are always eager to look at best practices around this great nation. And one of the things that forced us into this virtual world of talking has allowed us to gain a really wonderful partnership. Our hope is that this collaborative will be a benefit to you. Certainly, I think Mackenzie hit the nail on the head. We are not competitive restaurants, and we are so in support of what they do really, really well. One of my favorite memories of first meeting Lunch Assist virtually was them using the Spark Joy. For you, those of you who don't know, Marie Kondo is the Spark Joy author who tells you, like, if you're going to clean your closet and something's not what you need and doesn't bring joy, just toss it and reorganize your life. Well, I feel in some ways Lunch Assist has done that for us, in that I think they're the most clever, witty writers on making those memo codes from the USDA come to life in a usable format that makes you actually understand the method to the madness and not have to read through all of the verbiage and still understand all of the alphabet soup that has become the waivers this year. So that, among many other reasons, I really am excited to pursue forward a collaborative. And I want you also to check out their website. I will be featured as a panelist on their community calls. One other thing that I think they have done brilliantly since the inception of COVID is really done a nice job. I was just on their community call last week. They actually had a representation from the Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics talking about important topics with regards to the new changing of the guards, if you will, in Washington, and efforts that groups like the School Nutrition Association and the Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics are doing for and with professionals in our industry to advocate for continued financial support, which I think, again, rebuilding, renewing, refocusing, every word you have, reinvigorating, recharging the hill, everything we want to do to continue to bring the needs of all of you up to the people that can make change happen. So again, thank you for your time today, Mackenzie. I know that there's a lot of things being posted in the chat. I'm trying not to have dual screens going here, so I don't want to kind of look crazy, but I'm certainly going to allow now. We have about 7 minutes left for question and answer. If there are any, please feel free to take yourself off of mute and go ahead and ask the question. We'll try our best to answer. Are there anything in the chat box, team, if one of you guys can kind of scour that and let me know if there are any questions. I see Gina Nash's beautiful face and Marsha's face. Good friends on this call. You know, we're still here for you guys. I know you guys run awesome programs, but I think everybody needs a sisterhood and a village. I think, again, thank you to Gordon Food Service. I see our friends on from the call, HPS certainly, for their help with helping procurement and guide us through all of our fun quests to continue. I think if they're not object, you know, I'm going to put a plug in for, you know, it's been a moving target for industry. So if you know, some of our schools have not had a lot of notice ahead of going back brick and mortar. I know that you guys get wonderful communication from Kathy Zagelli and Jeff regarding updating them with your plans. I think Pasonic would be, again, just advocating that if you know you're going to change your cycle, or if your schedule for having students and feeding students is changing, I think the best takeaway message from COVID has been open and often communicating with those folks that we are asking to help supply the needs of our program. So I know Jeff is on the call and certainly met with Kathy earlier with regard to making sure we're keeping them abreast of changes. I'm not seeing any questions, and I am not object to ending early if that's the case. Again, I'm just very happy to have had the opportunity to be with you guys today. You know, we are going to continue around the idea of this rebuild, renew, and recharge. If anything today struck a spark in you, you know, we certainly would happily fan that and create the energy around your program that you want to make it successful. So thank you to everyone. Happy New Year. Stay well, stay safe, and always know that Pasonic Partners is here for you, and we will continue to be invested in your programs and in feeding kids. Take care. Thank you.
Bye-bye.